On Tuesdays, I do one of my long runs, and let me know if I'm the only one, but I need food in my stomach immediately after my long runs. Otherwise, I just turn into a very grumpy human. That's why I love having something prepped in the fridge ready to eat once I'm back. Today, I just had some leftover buckwheat from the weekend, so I used that to make a sweet breakfast bowl. For the toppings, I used some soy yogurt, this peanut chocolate spread, some hemp seeds, some cut up peaches, which are kind of nearing the end of season right now, so I'm quite sad about it, and a generous sprinkle of flaky salt. Bowls like this are honestly my favorite after running because they give me a lot of energy back and obviously also very delicious. To get lunch started, I sliced up an aubergine into quite thick slices and also some tofu into thick slices as well. Got those on a baking tray and brushed them with some olive oil to make sure that they were evenly coated. I then rubbed some salt into the aubergine, which just helps get it crispy in the oven and also tastes a lot better in my opinion, and then put the tray in the oven to bake for around 30 minutes. In the meantime, I added mustard and vegan mayo to some bread, and once the aubergine and tofu were done, I added those as well. I actually ended up putting the entire aubergine on this sandwich because it really shrunk in the oven. Got some tomato and a bit of arugula on there too, before closing with a second slice of bread and then wrapping it up like this to make eating easier. This was super yummy, very juicy from the aubergine I have to say, and I just really like sandwiches. A little bit later, I prepped some dinner to take to work because I was working in the evening and I had some rice noodles on hand, so I soaked those in some boiling water until soft while preparing some vegetables. I used cucumber and carrots in this case, but honestly any veggies will work here. For the dressing, I didn't really feel like making a peanut butter sauce, but wanted to try an oil-based dressing today, so I added some sesame seeds, chili powder, minced garlic, black pepper, grated ginger, soy sauce and vinegar into a small bowl, and then poured over some hot oil to quickly fry the garlic and spices. I left the dressing to sit for a few minutes while I rinsed the rice noodles under some cold water and then assembled everything in a large bowl. I obviously had to add some fresh parsley as well and then poured over the oil before tossing everything together. And let me tell you, this rice noodle salad was so flavorful and the textures were on point. Some crispy tofu or even edamame would have made it even better, but I simply could not be bothered making any on this day. But I still highly recommend trying this out if you ever get sick of a classic peanut butter dressing. Wednesday morning was a chill and very slow one, and I really took my time getting ready and making breakfast. Cooked up some classic porridge and then assembled this porridge topping station of sorts, which is honestly super fun, with some chia pudding that I had made the day before, some defrosted strawberries, seed mix, and a few sprinkles of brown sugar. Lastly, I also added some flaky salt, which brings out the sweet flavors so perfectly, and did a very beautiful swirl before devouring this delicious bowl of oats. I read my book, ate my oatmeal, and just enjoyed the morning on the balcony, which is one of my favorite things to do in the summertime. So I'm really making the most of the warm mornings while they are still here. I had cooked up some rice and lentils in the morning to cool down for a few hours because I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to make for lunch. So to the rice and lentils, I added some za'atar, stirred that through and then set it to the side to assemble a nice big salad bowl. Lettuce went in as the base, the rice and lentil mix, some sliced cucumber and radishes, fresh parsley of course, pickled red onions, a simple lemon and olive oil dressing that I had made, and lastly a sprinkle of sumac and chili powder, just for some extra flavor. And honestly, ever since making this, I've been obsessed with the za'atar rice and lentil mix. It is so delicious. I highly recommend trying it out. Hi, hello. I am about to get into making some dinner, and for dinner tonight I'm really feeling like making a creamy pasta. I've had this jar of artichokes sitting in the fridge for quite a while, so I'm going to use this up in the creamy pasta, and then I'm also going to start using up the cabbage that I froze before my vacation. I'm just gonna add that in with the pasta at some point. So yeah, I'm hungry, let's get into it. So to make this creamy pasta, I simply added some onion and the artichoke hearts into a frying pan with some olive oil and cooked those until they got nicely browned, which took a couple of minutes. In the meantime, I got some tagliatelle cooking as well. And back to the frying pan, I added some garlic, kept frying everything up, deglazed the pan with some white wine. Once the pasta was almost done, I added the cabbage from the freezer to defrost And then to start building a sauce, I added some nutritional yeast to the frying pan, along with some soy milk to make it creamy, some black pepper for extra flavor, and let this thicken for about a minute while draining the pasta. Decided to add some chickpeas to the sauce as well, along with the cooked pasta and the cabbage. I also added some pasta water at this point to help bind the sauce together and stirred everything for a few minutes until emulsified and super creamy. I felt this dish needed a bit of color, so I also added in some fresh parsley, kept mixing everything together and served myself up a very generous portion of this pasta. I feel like I've kind of outdone myself with this pasta. That's so good. And it used up stuff I had in the fridge. What's not to like about this? Very yummy. The next morning was another chill morning, and I actually woke up very late, so I had breakfast/brunch at around 11:30, for which I made a big batch of tofu scramble with leek and more of the frozen cabbage. I also made some grilled garlicky mushrooms, which I love to do when I have some extra time on my hands. Serve these on some bread, of course, with vegan mayo, which is my favorite way to eat tofu scramble, with some extra black pepper on top. Once again, a very relaxing morning on the balcony while reading. This honestly makes me so happy, and I will definitely miss these mornings once the new semester starts again. I was at my parents' house for lunch to prep a few things for my brother's upcoming birthday, and they didn't really have a lot of food in the house at this point, so I just had 2.5 plates of very simple pesto pasta with beans and some cherry tomatoes. Back home, I had a very specific vision for dinner. I wanted to recreate a salad I had while I was in Switzerland in July. And to start, I cut some potatoes into big pieces and got those on a baking tray with some chickpeas that I had in the fridge, a bit of cumin, salt, and olive oil. This tray went in the oven for about 25 minutes or until the potatoes were super crispy. And in the meantime, I got to making the actual salad. The main components are apple, red onion, and chives. So I cut all of these quite thinly before getting out the large yellow bowl. I feel like whenever this bowl comes out, you know the salad will be special. Anyways, I added some crunchy lettuce and all of the chopped red onion, apple, and chives to the bowl, as well as some vegan feta, which I crumbled in there with my hands. The dressing was a miso and mustard dressing, which is honestly so good. I am so proud of this recipe. It was just so delicious. I tossed the salad together to make sure everything was coated well, and then put this as the base for the crispy potatoes and chickpeas, which were done roasting at this point. And let me just say, if you try any of the recipes from this video, it should be the salad, because it was definitely one of the best salads I have ever made. And I make a lot of salads, so this was definitely very special. Friday was my brother's birthday, and I was back at my parents' to celebrate. After the celebrations and singing and unwrapping presents was over, I decided to get into making a quick breakfast. My parents had this muesli mix in the cupboard which had a bunch of seeds in there. So I cooked this up like porridge until super creamy like this, and then just very simply had it with some banana, raspberries, peanuts, and a sprinkle of salt. Once I was back at my apartment again, I needed something quick because I had quite a long to-do list on this day, and I found these wraps in the cupboard, so I filled them with some cooked white rice. I always find that wraps by themselves aren't really filling enough for me, so I just need another carb. I also added some leftover tofu scramble, some cucumber, bell pepper, sauerkraut, and a drizzle of tahini. And then at the last minute, I also decided to add some lettuce in there, even though the wraps were clearly already very full. I did my best at wrapping them up. Would have been a lot easier if I used tin foil, to be honest, but I made it work. And this reminded me that I need to make wraps more often because I often forget that they exist. They're just so convenient and so delicious. Good morning, happy weekend. I am having another pretty slow morning this morning. Now I'm having my granola bowl for breakfast, which I'm very excited to try. I feel like the apple cinnamon is kind of slowly hinting at fall, which I'm not mad about. I do love fall as a season, so. Anyways, about yesterday night. In our family we have the tradition that the birthday child kind of gets to choose the restaurant we go to. And of course my brother chose to go to a steakhouse, so they didn't have any vegan options on the menu, but I was able to order a bunch of sides and kind of create a meal like that, I guess. So I had some tomato salad, I had an oven-baked potato, some roasted veggies. These were actually really good roasted veggies, I have to say. Some green beans, and then they did have some sorbet, which was house-made, so I had some of that for dessert. Obviously wasn't the best meal I've ever had, but my brother really enjoyed his dinner, so I was happy for him. So the plan for today is quite straightforward. I have a few things on my list that I need to get done, and I also want to go for a tempo run today, because that's on the running plan. So yeah, I'm gonna have my breakfast, digest this for a bit, and then go for a run. I'll see you at some point for lunch. After my tempo run, I had a long stretching session and took a shower and was very hungry afterwards. So I made a quick rice bowl for lunch. I had prepped some yellow rice earlier in the day because I kind of knew that I'd be hungry after my run. So this is just basmati rice, salt, turmeric and water. I also had marinated some chickpeas in the morning with paprika, cumin, cayenne, salt and pepper, which I added to a frying pan with some oil to crisp up while I prepared some veggies. Today I went for cucumber, radishes and some fresh parsley, which I chopped into bite-sized pieces and set to the side. To assemble, I started with a base of crispy lettuce, added the yellow rice, the fresh veggies that I had cut up, the crispy chickpeas, which were so delicious, and then I had some pickled onions in the fridge, so I added those as well, followed by some fresh parsley. For the dressing, I just added a drizzle of tahini and the juice from one small lemon to keep it simple. I find lemon, tahini and yellow rice go really well together, so this was a great combination. Yeah, that was lunch on Saturday. Super satisfying to have after my run. By the time dinner rolled around, I was honestly in the middle of doing a bunch of things. I was deconstructing a shelf in my bathroom and also cleaning at the same time, so I needed something I could just put on the stove and not have to think about while finishing the bathroom project. Spoiler, I didn't finish it. Anyways, I made a stew with red onion, tomatoes, tomato paste, potatoes, bell pepper, carrot, some chana dal, which are yellow split peas, salt, pepper and oregano for seasoning, as well as some water to cook the potatoes and peas. I put the lid on and left this to simmer for around 15 minutes. Just before serving, I added in some tahini for creaminess and a nice, richer mouthfeel, I guess. Served myself up a big bowl of this, topped it with some fresh parsley, and enjoyed. Sometimes all I need is a big bowl of comforting, brothy stew to warm my soul. And today was one of those days. Alright friends, that was everything that I ate this week. I hope you enjoyed and got some inspiration. If you did, feel free to let me know in the comments. Definitely let me know if you will try any of the recipes, and if you do, feel free to tag me on Instagram. I always love seeing your recreations. I think that's it for today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and your week, and I'll see you very soon.